Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Witch Magic. Today we are going to be talking about divination, and we will also be using some demonstrations of certain divination tools. So sit back and relax and enjoy. All right everyone, I'm coming to you on a nice rainy day today. So it's nice to be inside my home as I'm recording this. And I know that the flowers and the plants are getting watered out there, which is very good. So here it is. This is the episode that I have been looking forward to doing, and that I've been trying to get to do even last month. So I'm finally able to get it to you. So I'm really happy about that. If you were listening to this on the podcast, you might eventually want to go over to YouTube and watch the video whenever you get a moment, because I will be showing some forms of divination and giving you little examples of how to use them. So it ought to be interesting. So let's get right into it. Okay, so there are many ways. First of all, what is divination? So divination is the art of foreseeing or foretelling the future. But not only just that, but even guiding you to where you need to be, as like the oracle does. And I've mentioned the oracle many times before. I read you guys oracle cards every week, and I have done a little bit of an episode. I have talked a little bit about divination on an episode a while back. But this is going to be more demonstrating stuff, so I will be demonstrating that along with other things. So when we're doing divination, okay, we are seeking answers, all right? And it could be answers that you have for your personal life. It could be answers that you have for your job or your business. It could be answers that you want to have for the world that we live in and how things are going to be. Because let's face it, right now, we are in total chaos. And we just need things to get better. So a lot of people are focusing on that these days. But sometimes you could go and you can kind of ask guidance to what your day is going to be like. You know what I mean? Or what areas of certain future things are going to take place. For instance, are you going to be buying a new home? Are you looking for another job, another career? Things like that. You know, it could be to do with, are you going to have a baby soon? Are you going to get married soon? You know, things like that. Now, a lot of professional psychics and mediums and card readers don't really like to talk about death. They don't really want you to come to them and say, I just want to know when I'm going to die. If you want the answer to that, you're probably going to have to do that on your own. And this is why, this is why I want to show you how to do some of these things, because you can read for yourself. You know what I mean? Sometimes it is best going to a professional, a different person, because they are neutral. Because sometimes, let's face it, sometimes if you do seek answers for yourself, not that you're doing it on purpose, but you might kind of give it a little nudge to the direction that you want it to go. Do you know what I mean? And that's the case, you're not going to get an accurate reading. So when you're seeking answers through divination and your divination tools, you need to keep an open mind, okay? Because let's say you do a reading for yourself, whether it's cards, pendulum, crystal ball, whatever the case may be. And we're going to go through all of that. Say you're doing a reading for yourself and you don't like the outcome. Well, what can you do? You can change it. You can't. The purpose of divination is, let's talk about death again, because that's like the no one wants to know exactly when you're going to die. Or maybe you do, but what do you do when you find out? Say you're going to die next week. What do you do about that? Do you go and do all these crazy things? Get all these things off your bucket list, try to do as much as you can? Or do you lay there all depressed and wait till it comes and happens. That is why a lot of readers don't want to tell you the answer to that, even if they did know it. But they're probably not even gonna look for that. Do you know what I mean? Because even if they know it, they don't want to tell you, because what if you do something crazy and then it's kind of on them? You know what I mean? So if anyone were to come to me for a reading, whether it's runes or oracle or whatever, I'm not going to answer that type of question. And the same kind of goes for, I don't know, like, am I going to marry this man that I love? You know what I mean? Well, what if I were to tell you no? I mean, what if I don't see it in your future? That's another tough thing, because I could be responsible for something happening to you. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of a disclaimer for all people that you go to and to get a reading from. Now, some might be comfortable enough to give you those types of readings. I'm a beginner reader. I mean, I've been reading for a long time, but I've been doing it mostly for myself and people that have come to me every once in a great while. It's either people I know or people that know the people I know, you know? So like friends of friends and everything like that. But I certainly don't want to guide you in the wrong direction. Do you know what I mean? But if you find something that you don't necessarily like in the reading, you can change something up. All right, for instance, let's say you're asking about a job. Let's say there's a certain job or a career that you want to get into. And you come to me and you say, Dawn, I want to know, am I going to get this job? Do you see me in this career? I know what you want the answer to be. You want the answer to be yes. And you're going to be very successful at it. But I'm going to be honest. And what if the cards say no? What if the pendulum says no? What next? What are you going to do? The ideal thing would be maybe look at a different career path, right? But with some people, it could mean depression, heck, even suicide, which we don't want, right? Because they're not getting what they want in life, so they want to give up, right? But there are other choices you have in this world. There are other paths you can take. There are things you can do to change your outcome, or at least make it to the best that you can. And that's the good thing about divination, is that, sure, I'm going to get an answer. It might not be the answer I'm looking for, but maybe this will help me rethink things, you know? And this is all about using an open mind and using your intuition, right? We talked about the chakras and using your third eye. That's your intuition, all right? What about your heart? Using your heart, okay? Divination is not supposed to push you to a certain way. It's to guide you and give you answers so that you can find the perfect way. Does that make sense? All right, so I have a few tools that I'm going to show you. Some of them you have seen already because I have shown them during different videos, and I've talked about them during different episodes and everything like that. The first one I think I'm gonna do is the pendulum. Now, this pendulum that I have, it actually came in a three pendulum set. And I have it hanging on my wall, and I'll actually show you a picture of that as well. But, so now what I want to show you is, this is the little card that came with it. And if you buy a pendulum set, you'll have similar things like this. They might be smaller. This one's kind of big. They might be a little smaller, but they're always going to have yes, no, or maybe. Okay. And then a few others might have different ones. Like this also has wait and rephrase. Meaning, and now, there's a now. So if the pendulum goes to wait, that means you might want to ask it again. Or even ask another question and then get back to that other question that it said to wait for. If it says rephrase, that normally means it's not understanding. So you might want to rephrase the question. And let me just tell you, with the pendulum, it always has to be a yes or no question. Okay? You can't say something like, what job am I going to have in the future? It doesn't answer like that. It answers yes or no questions. So it's not open-ended, okay? Just yes or no question. You might say, am I going to get this job that I applied for? That's your yes or no question. All right? Now, if it says maybe, you could take that with a grain of salt. And you can always ask it later on. Okay? Now, and I'm going to show you this in a minute. I just wanted to explain a few things first. If your pendulum keeps going around and around, that means it's thinking. I like to think of it as the 3 dots when you're waiting for someone to finish their message to you. You know what I mean? It's like that waiting period. You're like waiting for that message to come in. So you see those 3 dots, the thinking dots. That's what I call them, the thinking. So the pendulum is thinking when it keeps turning round and round. If a certain amount of time goes by and it's still not swaying in one direction or another, and it's just still spinning in circles, it might be time to take a break from it, especially if you've been asking it a ton of questions. Normally, when I take my pendulums out, I might ask a few questions, you know what I mean? But I don't want to sit there for like an hour asking every question in the world. Just some of the things that are important to me at that particular moment. Because I can always go to my pendulum anytime I want, right? Now, before I get into showing you this, one of the things that I do want to remind you, and we have talked about this before, anytime you use a divination tool, you want to give it a good cleansing, okay? You want to recharge it. So when you first get a divination tool, you definitely want to cleanse it and put your own energy into it, okay? Especially if it's been used before by somebody else, okay? And if you use a divination tool like every day, like say you're reading a card every day from your deck, whether it's tarot or oracle, that's fine. Maybe kind of say a little blessing out to the spirits or the deities or, you know, your spirit guides and stuff like that before using them. If it's been a while since you've used it, then I would give it a good recharge, okay? Now, a lot of these things that I'm going to show you today that I'm going to demonstrate, I have not, aside from the runes and the oracle cards, because I use those often, but with the pendulum and all that stuff, the other things that I'm going to show you, I have not recharged them. This is simply for demonstration purposes. So whatever answers I get from these today do not really mean much of anything. All right, I'm not even going to really ask questions or even think about questions. I just want to kind of give you an idea of how these things work. All right, so here is the pendulum. This is one of the pendulums that I have. Okay, and let me face the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so what I want to do, I want to hold the pendulum very lightly. You know, I don't have much of a good see. It's kind of just resting on my thumb, and I kind of put my finger just to hold it there in place. All right, and I always put my elbow down on the table, because if I hold it up like this, I'm gonna get shaky. So I hold it down, my elbow on the table, so I get a good sturdy spot, okay? Now, I'm gonna put this way so it's facing you, all right? Because it doesn't matter because I'm not doing an actual reading. So what you wanna do is you wanna place your pendulum in the middle, as close to it as you can get without touching it, okay? And I realize my pinky finger does stick out a little bit, like I'm all fancy and stuff, you know. Anyway, as you can see, the pendulum is already starting to swing, and it's going in the yes motion. Now, when I recharge my pendulum, I actually, well, I'll show you. Okay, I'm going to stop the pendulum, and I'm going to tell it, show me no. And it's swinging to no. Okay, show me yes. And you don't have to stop the pendulum each time, because look what happens. It's going to go around a circle as if it's thinking about what you just said. And it actually looks like it's going to rephrase, or maybe, so it might want me to rephrase the question. Let me see the answer yes. And there it goes. It's going right to yes, okay? There it goes. All right, nice. So that is pretty much how a pendulum works, right? And like I said, actually, you don't even need, you can make your own one of these. You could put it on paper, put yes, no, maybe, you know, things like that. You could put the other phrases on there as well. But you don't even need one of these, actually. You can use a pendulum just like this. Just keep in mind what way is going yes and what way is going no. And you can charge it, say, to answer yes, you know, move up and down. To answer no, move side to side. You know, whatever the case may be. Pendulums were also used to determine what gender a mom is going to have for a baby, what gender a baby is going to be during a pregnancy. Have you ever seen that before? So the pregnant mom would lay down on her back, and someone would hold a pendulum over her belly. And I'm not sure the directions. I think you could probably choose the directions by charging it with those directions, like I told you. But whatever direction it goes in kind of reveals the gender of the baby. And as far as I know, they've been pretty accurate. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's move on to the oracle cards, because I know that you guys are very familiar with these, because like I said, I do these every week. I read you a card every week, but this is going to be a little different because I'm going to show you the different spreads that you can do. I'm just using my Dragon Oracle. Okay. So these are the cards. This is the backs of the cards. All right. And then you could turn around, kind of fan them out. You can see the fronts of them. Okay. So every card is unique. Every card. Now, let me tell you about Oracle. First of all, Oracle kind of guides you to where you need to be, kind of guide you down the path you need to go in order to get those answers that you need. So let's go back to career. Say you're wondering about a certain career that you're interested in. You know, am I gonna become a teacher? You know, or what do I need to do to become a teacher? Well, you can ask the cards, and it's not going to give you, oh yes, you're going to be a teacher, or no, you're not going to be a teacher, or you know, it's going to kind of like show you a way that you can get to where you want to be. It's a guide, okay? So what you have when you buy an Oracle deck, you get a book that comes with it. And the first thing you want to look at in the book is, well, of course, the contents, right? But you also want to read the introduction, because there are many different authors of these Oracle cards, okay? And they have their own system of guidance, okay? Now, when you put Oracle cards together, yes, they say different things, they got different pictures, they got different meanings, things like that. But it's all going to come down to the same path, all right? So no matter what it says, you just have to kind of realize what it's saying to you. And the books really go into detail, and so they really do help. But you also want to make sure that you write it down if you're not really understanding at the moment what it's telling you, because then you can refer back to it later, right? Say, what did it tell me that I needed to do? You know, I'm lost. Maybe reread it all over again. Give yourself another reading to see if something else comes up, things like that. Now so you want to read the introduction to get to know how the author is pertaining this and how you can read the cards, how you know. And then you want to read the how-to. Okay, so the introduction is kind of like introducing the author, introducing the cards and things like that. But then you want to look at the how-to because it shows you the different spreads you can use and how to read those spreads. Okay, so if you want to just know about if you want to do like a daily card pull, all you need is one. All right, how's my day going to be? Bloop, shuffle them up and then read the top card. Okay, or you can, let me demonstrate. Okay, so yeah, I'm shuffling the cards, blah, 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 blah. And people, sometimes when you get a card jump out, that might be your answer. But I'm not going to count that because I'm just kind of showing you. So shuffling the cards, some people do it like that. Some people just kind of mix them up a little bit. You can even spread them all on a table and mix them around like that if you feel more comfortable with that. Or some people do I can't even, the shuffling up like this. I can't, I can't do that. But anyway, once you shuffle them, I always know when it's time for me to stop shuffling because I'll usually get like this tingle sensation. You know what I mean? Like my hand will start to feel it tingly, you know what I mean? And so I'll know when to stop and then I'll pick my top card. You know what I mean? I'll read what it is in the book, things like that. Or you can fan them out like this, right? And then just kind of keep spreading them along and feeling while you're spreading the cards. Try to get a feel for each card. And then once you say, oh, that's the card I need to pull it out and read it. Okay? So, and I apologize because it's probably a different camera. So I keep going my camera up and down, so it's probably going to be different angles. So anyway, the one card is for, a quick reading, something you just want to know right off the bat. Boom. I just want to know this real quick. You know what I mean? Now you could do a 3-card spread. So after you shuffle your cards, you want to go left to right, and I'm doing it your way so that you can see what it looks like. Okay. So this one right here on the left is going to represent the past. Okay. While this one's going to be the present and this one's going to be the future. So you would flip this card over first. And again, these cards aren't going to mean anything because we're not asking a question. All right. And that's going to indicate what you've dealt with in the past pertaining to what question you're asking it. Okay. So hopefully you guys can see these good enough. Trying to get them in a good view. So that's your past. So then you would look through the book, read it, read the definition, read all about it. And then you'll indicate, you'll see something about, yeah, I see that. That's kind of something that I've dealt with before. This is going to be your present, right? Okay. That's what's happening now. All right. That's what's going on in your life now. Okay. So the thing to determine with these, when you're reading it in the book, it's going to have certain words. These words are going to be the same for everybody because it's all written in the book. It's the same in the book, right? But you have to kind of think about, what is it telling you? When you're reading this for yourself, say I'm reading this for myself. What is it telling me? What is it telling me specifically? And specifically to what I'm asking about. And then of course, this one's going to be the future card. This is where you need to go to get to what you're asking about. Okay. All right. So does that all make sense? So with these particular cards, you can also do like a 5-card spread, or you could do a 7-card spread. So I'm really quickly going to show you the 7-card spread. So say I have these cards. I'm going to move this. Hopefully I have enough room to show you. These are all going to be, I need a bigger table for that. Those are all going to be the past, okay? Or yeah, the past. The one in the middle is going to, and you can kind of angle these if you want to make it look good, but I have very limited space right here, so I'm just going to show you like this. This one's going to be the present, and then all the cards on the right will be, you guessed it, the future. All right, and that's the 7 card spread. And you would do it the same with the 3 card spread. Start on this side and then work your way over. Okay, and that'll give you more detail. That'll make it more in depth of what you need to know. Okay, so, and always shuffle the cards up until you feel that it's time to stop. Okay, and then, like I said, the next thing you want to read in the book is the interpretation of the cards. So you open up your book to whatever cards that you pulled, and it is a very good idea to kind of not really much study, because you're not going to memorize everything. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you use different decks, they're all going to say different things. But it's a good idea to kind of look through it. Definitely read the introduction when you first get a deck, and definitely read how to do the certain spreads, because that'll help you out a whole lot. Okay. All right. So that is the Oracle. So let me just put these back. And I always like to put them nice and neat back in my box, so that the next time I use them, they're ready to go. All right, so why don't we, well, let's see. Since I'm doing cards, I'll show you this. I have this, this little mini tarot deck, and it's called Everyday Tarot. Kind of reminds me of those Everyday Spells cards that I've been reading to you guys. Anyway, there's 2 cards in here, and I'll just read these to you real quick, because I'm not really a tarot reader, to be honest with you. I've tried reading tarot. I've had several decks in the past. I do have a couple of decks, but I don't know where they are at the moment. They're tucked away somewhere. Anyway, I just cannot connect with them for some reason. I don't know what it is. Maybe the timing wasn't right. Maybe it's not my time to connect with the tarot. And that's okay. If you have, just because you're a witch doesn't mean you need to use every divination tool in the box. You know what I mean? There is no way that you can perfect all of these things. Some will resonate with you more than others. Others you might not have a connection with, and that's fine. And we'll go over a little bit more of that in a little bit. So this card right here says 7 steps to an accurate and insightful tarot reading. And I'll read the 7 steps. Number 1, create a sacred space. That's always a good idea. Anytime you use any form of divination, you should make sure that you're in a safe space so that no negativity can come through. You don't want any negativity coming through. All right. We'll talk a little bit more about that as well. 2, ask a question. Hello, right? Number 3, choose a spread. Number 4, shuffle and lay out the cards with that spread. Number 5, interpret the reading. Number 6, answer your question. So when you are reading the meaning of the card, you have to kind of, it's your intuition that has to come into play and indicate what this card is telling you personally for this personal question that you have. Okay. And then 7, reflect and take action. So reflection could mean, oh, I'm going to sit here and think about, what does this Page of Wands mean that I just pulled? What is it telling me? What does it have to do with what I'm asking it? All right. Write it down. Write it down in your journal. Okay. Or your book of shadows, whatever you want to do. Because you can always revisit it, right? So you don't want to sit here all day. Okay. I don't know what this is saying. I don't know what this is telling me. You know, I'm going to sit here all day. What is it telling me? Oh my goodness. And it's going to drive me crazy. So write it down and then you can revisit it when you have the moment. Okay. This other card here says, is the spreads, the quick tarot spread. So you got the daily 1 card check-in, which we talked about with the Oracle cards, right? If you just want a really quick read, I'm going to pick up the top card after I shuffle, or even fan it out and feel which one kind of like sticks out with me. You know what I mean? And the deal for the questions, these are sample questions on here for the daily 1 card check-in. What do I need to know today? Simple, right? That's usually my go-to question. What is in store for me today? Or what do I need to know about today? You know, another question is what is in alignment with my higher self? That's a really good question. And then a 3-card spread. Remember, we also talked about that with the oracle cards. You get the past, present, and future. Okay? Or situation, problem, and action. Or you, me, us. It's up to you how you want to interpret those. I normally go for the past, present, future, but those other options are pretty good too. What's my situation right now? What is the problem and how can I solve it? Okay. Looking at the situation, seeing the problem and solving it. That's a good one. That's a really good one. And then you, me, us. So if it's like a relationship or even a job, you know, it doesn't have to be a love relationship. It could be a family relationship, or say you're having an issue with a friend. You know what I mean? Or coworkers. You know, that's you is the left card. Or no, you is the left card would be for the person that you're indicating about. The middle card would be you, and then the right card would be the both of you. So what's the problem here with you? What's the problem with me? How can we solve this together? That kind of thing. And I don't think I have to really show you the spreads on the tarot cards, but these are really cute. They're really small. As you can see, they're a lot smaller than a normal deck. So they're just like, you know, something in this little box. And it does come with the booklet. So, and again, the first thing you want to do when you get a tarot deck, read the introduction. Read the introduction. Now, the thing with tarot, all the cards, no matter what deck you have, all the cards are pretty much going to mean the same with every single deck, even though they're by different authors, illustrators, whatever, what have you. A little more different than what the oracle does, okay? Because you have, I mean, tarot is tarot. It's all the same. You know what I mean? You have your major arcana, your minor arcana. Those are the groups of cards, right? And then you have your suits, okay? So it might be worded a little bit differently in the guidebooks of each deck you get, each different deck you get, but they pretty much mean all the same, okay? So tarot is one of those things that, like I said, no matter what deck you get, you're gonna get those answers, those same answers, okay? I like these too because they have like a gold trim to them. Isn't that pretty? Nice. All right, so let me set that aside. Now I want to show you something kind of, this is really interesting. These are called witch wellness stones. And if you look on the back, it'll show you that it comes with gemstones. It does come with the gemstones. And it also comes with a chart where you throw these stones on. Now, I'm going to show you, let's see. I'm just going to read this to you. It's how to use your witch stones. So the ancient practice of casting gemstones is called lithomancy. And I think we've talked about that before. I'm not sure when we were talking about crystals and stuff. This traditional ritual provides the user with inspiration, guidance, knowledge, and general decision making. Where will your stones fall? So it has this, come with this chart that you sit on the table, and and this is, my lighting is not very good right here. So it's probably going to be hard for you to see what it says. But up here, we've got Magic Point, Sacred Region. These are all the magic points. All the points of the star are magic points. Sacred Region. Oh, these are all the sacred regions in the corners. Okay, there's 4 of them. And then down the bottom, the bottom is a sacred region as well. And then the Shadowlands are the outside of the pentagram. Okay, and the middle is your illumination. All right, so what you want to do, and it comes in this cute little box, right? and you have all the stones here, and each stone has symbols on them. And I'll show you the symbols, and we'll get to what they mean in a minute. Because I have to read the thing anyway. See, they have little symbols on them. Let me show them all to you there. They're pretty cool, huh? I think they're really cute too. So what you want to do is you want to take them in your hands, right? And you want to give them a good shake, like you're rolling dice, right? And then onto the thing. All right, so now we go to, well, the thing about this is the guide is on the other side of this. So I got to kind of remember what I have here. So Sacred Region, this one right here is kind of in the middle of Sacred Region and Magic Point. So we'll take that into consideration. This one's in the Sacred Region. The only symbols that I have facing up are this one, and those are in the Shadowlands. Those are outside of the pentagram. And these are in the Shadowlands as well. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of move these over a little bit. And I know that this one is going to be my one that's in between Magic Point and stuff. So in the back here, it has the guide, okay? So I'll tell you what our things meant. So this blue one has this symbol on it, which is, let's see, what is this symbol? So this is the broomstick. I know it kind of doesn't look like a broomstick. I think they added an extra little thing here. I think these top two aren't supposed to be there, but that's supposed to be the broomstick. So then I look on the chart and I look up the broomstick, okay? Now, it shows you what it means if it's in the illumination part of the chart, what it means is if it's in the Magic Point, and what it means if it's in the Sacred Region, okay? So I guess in the Shadowlands, it doesn't indicate anything. But this was between the Magic Point and the Sacred Region. So let me just read to you what this is about. So the broomstick is a blue aventurine crystal, and it's for travels and passages. The broomstick represents a journey or crossing, both literal or metaphorical, and indicates you're moving toward new territories and experiences. I'm going to read the Magic Point first. You're ready to move on emotionally, but you must clear all mental distraction to reach your destination. And then the Sacred Region says, an unknown person or force is entering your orbit. Okay, so stones which land outside of the circle in the Shadowlands are void. So all these other ones are void. We only have this other one that was in the Sacred Region. So I'll read that one in a minute. Let's see. I thought it said something about if it lands. Oh, all right. I should have read this one first. Place the pentacle casting chart on a flat surface, which we did. Hold the stones inside your hands, then shake them like dice to cast them onto the chart. We did that. Immediately remove any stones with symbols facing down as they are voided. So this one was facing down. So that one doesn't count. Now, this one was in the Sacred Region, and the symbol was facing towards me. So it's not facing down. And this, as you can tell, is a chalice. So let's see. The chalice is the rose quartz. Yep, love and relationships. The chalice represents the element of water and is often used in ceremonial wine ritual. The sacred drink is shared within the coven as a bond of trust. Okay, so I'm just going to read the Sacred Region because that's where it was. Your relationship is strained. Oh no. Try putting yourself in the other person's shoes for a clearer perspective. Yikes. But again, this means nothing right now because I didn't ask anything. I wasn't even thinking about anything. I just was kind of demonstrating what this was. And that's just kind of like a little bit of how those work. All right. So yeah, if you want to get these, they're called Witch Wellness Stones. All right. I'm not sure who makes it, but it includes the casting stones, the dressed. It does have a satchel that you could put your stones in. I just keep them in the box. The pentacle casting chart and the how-to instructions. So yeah, pretty cool. Yep. And then it's very easy just to put them away. It's a magnetic close. So it's very easy and comfortable. And you just put them away until you're ready to use them next time. But again, I have not used these in a while, and so I haven't recharged them or anything like that. So they do really need to have a good charge. So have no fear, my relationship is still in good standing, trust me. All right, let's see. Why don't I now show you a little bit of scrying? Okay, now, don't judge me on this. I have a little crystal ball here, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But this is just a decorative crystal ball, okay? There are crystal balls that come in many sizes. There are huge ones, which I have had one before. This one's a little dusty because I had it on a shelf. But a while back, I mentioned to you guys that I had a flea situation. And I left behind a lot of my stuff. And a lot of that stuff was my witch stuff. So my old athame, all my first tools, I didn't have anymore. I had to replenish a lot of that stuff. And that really hurt. But, I'm getting back into it and getting all, used to the newer things, you could say, things like that. But let me show you this crystal ball. So this is a crystal ball, and it's on a little stand, cute little stand, right? And you might even be able to see it does have a little thing in it. It has a rose, and it says forever. I got this for me and Chris to decorate on our table, but now we have it up on a shelf. But it's just cute to look at. Let's see if you can see that really good. Yeah. But anyway, kind of demonstrate, how a crystal ball works. So this is what's called scrying, right? So you're going to look into the crystal ball. You're going to ask questions, whether out loud or in your mind, okay? And you're going to stare into the crystal ball and wait till you see pictures, images, symbols, things like that, all right? You can do the same thing with a black mirror, a bowl of water. You just want to make sure that you're just, you don't want too much light or shadow going into it. So the lighting has to be a candle. Having a candle next to it is really perfect because it's just going to cast that little bit of a glow you need to see with, right? But it's not going to have so much light that you can see the reflection of my glasses from the lights that I have in my room. But you want to make sure that you're just seeing what's in the ball, what's in the glass, what's in the mirror, whatever it is you're using, right? So it's very important. I have it on a black surface, the table, which is good because that helps with reflection too. And so if you have anything, you want to have it on a black surface so that you're not getting high reflections and stuff like that. Because you want to be able to see the images that are inside and not a reflection of something that's in the room. You know what I mean? Because that's gonna be distracting, and it's not gonna be accurate. Because what are you really seeing, if anything? Scrying takes a lot of practice. You can do it, but it takes a lot of practice. Don't think you're gonna look into a crystal ball and see something right away. You have to. It takes hours and hours of practice. And I'm not saying sit there for 10 hours at a time. I'm just saying, spend some time with it for maybe 20 minutes. And then another day, another 20 minutes, right? Maybe a little bit longer next time, Give yourself time to get used to it. If this is something that you want to do. You don't have to do it. But if this is something that you really want to get involved in, just know that it takes time. And that's true with any divination tool, right? It might not resonate with you immediately, and that's okay. It doesn't have to, but give it a chance. Like with me and the tarot, I didn't give up just after one time I tried to read it and I didn't understand it. And I was like, this isn't doing anything for me. I tried several times and I'm not even done trying. I'll try it again because I'm interested in it and I want to know all about it. I don't have to read tarot. Reading tarot doesn't make me a witch. Not reading tarot doesn't make me a witch. You know what I mean? Same with scrying. You don't have to scry to say you're a witch. Any of these things, actually. All right, so there is that. That was kind of a quick little rundown on that. Now, you guys are familiar with my runes. This is my bag of runes. And I do read these on pretty much a monthly basis now for you guys. When I left all my stuff, when I had to flee my situation, that's a story that maybe I'll tell you guys another time. I mean, I have no problem with it. It is what it is, and I'm in a much better place now, la la la. But anyway, my runes were one of the things I had to leave behind, right? I was so pleased and comfortable with this rune set that I bought the exact same set. Now, it's not the ones I had, of course, but it's the same set. You know what I mean? So, and I was always comfortable and familiar and everything with these. So this one is by Ralph H. Blum. All right. And it's, as you can see, it's very old. It is very old, but I just love it. I really do. So the thing, and usually runes will come in a pouch, and they can be made out of ceramic, glass, plastic. You can make them out of wood. You know, you can make your own, or you can buy them. These ones are the ceramic ones, you know. I like the feel of them and everything. So when you first get your rune set, like everything else, you want to charge them with your energy and all that kind of stuff. But you want to look through the book, and I mean, all the books are going to be set up differently, and this is the only one I'm really familiar with because I have never picked up another rune set because I just love this one so much. This one, this is what I resonate with. This is like, I am so drawn to this one. Okay. So on my first page of this, it has all the runes on it. All right. All the symbols, what the names of them are, what page you can find them on, things like that. And then there are traditional meanings on this page. Okay. And then if you go on, there is like kind of like an introduction, right? And it kind of gives you an idea of what the runes are about and where they came from. Okay. And I did talk to you guys on previous episodes. Well, if you're new here, I'm sorry. I know you might want to go back and listen to previous episodes. But about Odin and how he learned to read the runes. All right. He suffered in order to read these runes. So I always kind of like say a little prayer or blessing to Odin before I do a real reading. I mean, when I'm just generalizing, you know, the general reading, you know, for everything, you know, whatever. But if I'm doing an actual reading, like I really want to know something about something, you know, I will talk to Odin. They do have an invocation on here. Now, this rune set especially talks a lot about God. Okay, so it is not necessarily pagan and Wiccan. I don't want to say friendly because it's friendly to us, but it's not made for pagans and Wiccans. Do you know what I mean? So just kind of take that as you will. And if you want to do the invocation or even reading some of the meanings of the runes, if it says God, you can replace it with gods and goddesses or deity or goddess or whatever you want. You could say God and that's fine. All right. Even if you don't believe in one single God, one Christian God, whatever the case may be, we believe in our gods and goddesses, our deities, but you can still say God, but in your heart, you're knowing what you're talking about. You know who you're talking to. You know what you're feeling. Okay. So please don't take any offense to any of that. And then, of course, you're going to go on with, this is all about the oracle, what the oracle is all about, you know, knowing thyself, things like that. And then you'll go on to the meanings of each rune. But there's a little bit more to this book too, but I would recommend, you know, if you got this or, you know, any other book for the runes, read through it, you know, and see what it's all about. And it tells you how to consult the oracle, and we're going to talk about that in a second, because there are different spreads you can do with the oracle, with the runes as well. So just like the oracle cards, and they kind of go hand in hand. You can actually do a reading with the oracle cards and the runes at the same time and see what messages come through for you. So let's get to the spreads. Let me find where the spreads are. Okay, so when you do, so of course you have the one rune, pick, and I can just keep this up here. What I normally do for just a basic reading for myself, I'll just pick one rune. What should I know about today or anything like that? I'm not really doing, I'm just gonna, usually I kind of feel in the bag, okay? And just like with the cards, I'll come across, my fingers will touch one that make me want to stop and grab that one. And it's usually, in my case anyway, it's usually like a little tingle feeling in my fingers. And sometimes if it's really strong, it goes all the way up my arm. So I know that's the one, but I'm just going to choose the top one here. So I chose a rune. What do I do with it now? So now I look to what it is, okay? And I want to see if it's upright or reversed, first of all. This one doesn't have a reverse because it's the same both ways, right? Same both ways. And you will have a couple of those like that. So in the back of the book, where is it? It shows you how to pronounce them because they are really hard to pronounce. Remember, they're like a Viking alphabet, right? So it's not in English, you know what I mean? Now, the book is in English. The book written is in English, but the names of the runes themselves are not in English. So, like this one in particular, you'll look to see what it is. You can look up, what does it look like? You see right there. And I know how to pronounce them, so I know that says Dagas. But if you don't know how to pronounce them, if you're new to them and stuff like that, go to the pronunciation. You see that it's number 22. And it shows you how to pronounce it. It gives you the pronunciation, and then it gives you like how it sounds. So Dagas, okay, it's got the 2 dots over the A's, right? So that's like it tells you D, the D, right, that it starts with as in that. So it's actually gonna have the th sound at the beginning, okay? Instead of duh, it's a th. And then A as in father. So it's not dagas or thegas, it's thagas, okay? So anyway, you can do a 3 rune spread. So you want to face them down, okay? There's your past, present, and future. Okay, now, with these, you want to flip them over, kind of like that. You don't want to do it that way because then you're going to get an inaccurate reversed or whatever. So you want to make sure that you're flipping them over like that. Okay, now I will tell you, these two cannot be reversed because they're the same either way. This one, however, is reversed. So what you want to do is you want to look in the book and look up these particular runes. And I'll show you a page, for example. Well, let me show you one of these. Let me get one of these just so I'll show you the one that's reversed. That'll make more sense. All right, let's see. Okay, so this is the one that we drew reversed, okay? So you want to know what the name of the rune is? Well, let me show you. You want to know what the name of the rune is, and you want to know the meanings of it, okay? And then you kind of want to read the description of the rune if you're not familiar with it, just to know, all right, what is this rune? What does it mean? What does it indicate, okay? But then as you go on, there is a reversed meaning as well. And that is what that rune in the middle that we drew, that was our present rune, right? And that is what you want to read, and that is going to be your answer for that rune that you drew, is the reversed one. Now, if you read it upright, then all you need to do is read the upright part, right? And a lot of these times, runes can be a little tricky. I don't know why I resonate with them so much, I just do. But they can be a little tricky because you'll read the description of it, the meaning of it, and you're gonna scratch your head going, what does that have to do with anything that I asked about? There have been times, I would say most times that I've read runes, whether for myself or for someone else, I've got an accurate reading and I knew the message that I was trying to relay, that was being relayed to me to relate to the other person or even to myself. But there have been a couple of times where I wasn't too sure. So what I did was I kept my rune journal and I would write in the journal the question, what I wanted to know, what the other person wanted to know. If I was, let's say, for example, I was reading for another person, I would kind of like write down what the other person was wanting to know and what runes I drew and whether they were reversed or not, and the meanings of the runes. And then if I had any little inkling of what it could mean, I would write that down too. This is what I'm thinking, but I'm not entirely sure. So I want to revisit it later on. And those couple of times that I've had to do that, I revisited it later on and boom, I knew what it was about. Or something significant will happen and I'll think back to that reading and I'll go back to my notes and there it is. It clarifies it. So that's why when I did that episode on journaling, that's why I think it's important to journal sometimes. You don't have to do it all the time. I don't do it all the time. But sometimes, especially if something is not clicking the right way, you want to write it down so that you could go back and look at it and hopefully you'll get the answer that you need to at that time. So then we can do like a 5-card spread. Or not a 5-card, but a 5-rune spread. So what you would do for that one, and I'm going to leave these 3 runes. I'm going to just use these 3. And I'll put those, you're going to start from the top and work your way to the bottom. And again, when you're really pulling out the runes, you want to shuffle them each time. And so you get that rune that really jumps out at you. Okay? All right. And actually, I like to put them upside down so I don't see them right away because I like to do them one at a time and say, okay, that's the one that I need to look at first. But you can certainly flip them over if you want to, or even put them that way. But again, make sure you're flipping them away, that you're not flipping it upside down, because if it's a reversed, it's not going to be accurate because you're flipping it into an upright and vice versa. So with the 5 rune spread, the first one is going to be the overview. Okay. The second one is going to be the challenge. The third one, the action. The fourth one, the sacrifice. And the 5th one, the new situation. All right. So with the overview, it's just kind of like the overview of whatever situation you're trying to know the answer to. Okay. Say you're having issues with something. And this is a really good spread if you're having issues with something. This isn't a good spread if you just want to know an answer to something like, what's my day going to be like? Or, should I quit my job? Things like that. That could be a good for if you quit, if you have like a certain reason why you feel like you need to quit your job or anything like that. But whatever situation you are in, this is going to be the overview of it. Like, let's say, oh man, I'm having a really hard time, I don't know, connecting with this coworker, let's say, something like that. That's your challenge, right? What's the challenge of it? What's going on? Okay. This is the course of action that needs to be taken. Okay. This is something important that you need to read into. What can I do to better the situation up here? Okay. This is a sacrifice. All right. What do I need to do? Do I need to quit my job? Do I need to set myself up for embarrassment by talking to this person? Whatever the case may be. That's just a general idea, because most people like to know about their jobs. But yeah, what is going to be your sacrifice to doing this? And then the new situation. What new situation could evolve from this? If I talk to him, if I embarrass myself or if I make the sacrifice and say, oh, I'm sorry for whatever, behaving this way, whatever came up here, whatever challenge and situation was up here, what if they turn around and tease you about it, or they hate you or anything like that? What's the new situation going to be? Is it going to get better, or do you think it's going to get worse? And that's what the runes are going to tell you. Okay. Now there is the runic cross. So, and I'll just leave these flipped over just the way they are. So you've got your past, you now, what's happening now, future, okay, just like the 3 card spread. But then you have your foundation, challenge, and another foundation. Or not foundation. Foundation, challenge. See, this is hard for me because I'm reading this upside down. Foundation, challenge, and new situation. Okay, I'm trying to face it towards you so it's not. Okay, so if you, let me see if you guys can see that. Very good. So that's a runic cross. Okay, past, present, future. All right. Now, depending on what you're asking it, okay, and this is like when you're asking certain questions. I don't want to keep going to the job thing because that's kind of getting boring. But say, you know, you're asking about a relationship, okay? What is your past about regarding relationships? What is the current view on your relationships? The current situation in your relationships? What will the future of your relationships be? And this could be a loving relationship, friends, family, or even for yourself. And then this is the foundation to where it all started. We're looking at the matter of the situation, okay? The challenge are any obstacles that you might be coming across, all right? Any obstacles that are in your path, okay? And then, of course, you have another foundation. So this is a little bit more of a difficult spread to read, but know that the important factors are, of course, the past, present, future, which you can read in a 3 spread. Your foundations are what kind of holds everything together, right? This is your challenge, okay? This is what the runes are really going to, I mean, you need to know what all of it says, but this is what you're really going to have to focus on in order to get to where you want to be in regard to what you're asking the runes about, okay? And then another type of spread is if you want to do like a 3 lifetime spread, you have your birth and childhood. And I'm looking in the book right now because I just want to make sure that I'm getting this completely right for you guys. Your present and the future. All right, again, and I know I'm not quite in the middle here, but and then you have your past incarnation and your future incarnation. Okay, and that one's not. And again, if you're doing different spreads, you're gonna put the runes back in the bag and reshuffle them and pick them out and re-pick out new runes. I'm just showing you this as a demonstration. So pretty much that is the birth and childhood, of course, how you came into this life, you know, your present situation now, what your future holds, your future in this life. So the rune of transformation, the past incarnate, major transformation that comes through addressing your suffering and understanding what source it came from. And then your future incarnation representing the realization and what you would need to do in order to balance this all out. Okay. So yeah, and then there's always, and I'm going to leave that camera down so I can show you something else. I don't really like to do this because I don't like to send my runes flying everywhere, but there is also another way you can read the runes, and that is to shuffle them up in the bag or in your hands, whatever, and just lay them, let them crash all over the table. All right. And whatever runes are upright are the runes you read. The ones that are facing down, they're just void. Now, oh, I'm glad I flipped this over. This is a rune that has nothing on it. This is Odin's rune, the blank rune. Okay, so this one, I guess if you were to read it like this and you were to do the ones that aren't facing up, you would have to consider this because you don't know if it's facing up or not because it doesn't have anything on either side. So, and let me tell you about the blank rune. And I'm just going to get the passage of the book so I can tell you a little bit about that because I don't even know if like we came across that at all. during any of our readings or anything. But anyway, yeah, all of the runes. Oh, this one kind of, see, this is why I don't like to do it, because with the ceramic, look at, they kind of like crumble a little bit. That's why I don't like to do it that way. But if you have like plastic ones and stuff or wooden ones, you could probably do it with no mess. Those would be all the runes that I read. But anyway, Odin's rune is the blank rune. It's the unknowable and the divine, okay? And it means the end and the beginning, all right? This is the rune of total trust. I'm just reading this now out of the book. And should be taken as exciting evidence of your most immediate contact with your own true destiny, which, time and again, rises like the phoenix from the ashes of what we call fate. So it is unknowable, okay? So it's kind of like when you have a deck of playing cards and you have the Joker cards. Those are like, what do they call them? They're like, what do you call them? Those are cards you can play like any way you want. They're like, oh my gosh. They're like free-for-alls, you know what I mean? So you can interpret it however, whatever it seems fit at that time. Okay, so I just made a mess with that. All right, so those are all of the things that I have to show you, to have to demonstrate to you, but there are certainly other forms of divination that you can use. And one of those things is reading tea leaves, also called tasseomancy, which you would actually put tea, you know how like when you have a cup of tea, you have the tea bag. Well, you're not gonna have a tea bag for this, because you want those tea leaves to be on the bottom of your cup. And you drink the tea, okay, just like normal tea. And you have the little grains on the bottom of the cup. And they usually form like a picture or an image or a symbol. And they have books, and you could probably look it up online and everything to what all those symbols mean. And that's just another way, I think that's a pretty cool way. I've never read tea leaves before. I'm not exactly opposed to it, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't really need to. So, but if that's something you're interested in doing, that is a very good way for divination. Another form of divination, of course, is astrology, which we talk about that every week. Looking at your birth chart, knowing what stars and planets are aligned and all that kind of stuff, and that kind of will indicate what kind of day we're going to have, what kind of future we're going to have. We can forecast these like weeks in advance, you know what I'm saying? So, that's a very, very good thing to do, a very good form of divination. Meditating. You can sit there, relax, make sure your mind is free of any clutter. Meditation can be very hard to get into. It can be hard to get used to. I've had very successful meditation sessions with just myself. But other times my mind is just too cluttered and it's hard to relax, and it's hard not to have things pop into your head. Just, but you try to make sure that you're in a very quiet space, and the only noise you want to hear is either noises of nature, or if you're listening to a guided meditation, that can be helpful too, because then you're focused on what the person is saying. If you're really skillful, you can just sit there in a very quiet room with your eyes closed and just visualize colors at first. Visualize, all your chakras and everything like that to get your focus. Focus on your breathing. That is the major key for meditation. And then allow yourself, once you're in that mindset, allow yourself to just have answers come to you, okay? Whether it's stuff that you were thinking about before you got into the meditation, or stuff that you think your guides will need to let you know of. Dreams, that can happen in dreams as well. Maybe do like a little ritual before bedtime. We have talked about that before too. Do a little ritual before bedtime in order for your dreams to come into fruition, to give you the answers that you need, for your guides to come and tell you stuff. Guides, angels, deities, whatever the case may be. And keep a dream journal, because sometimes when we wake up, you'll remember the dream vividly. And then you'll think to yourself, oh, I'm going to tell that person later on. But then later on, you forget, or you forget major bits and pieces. So really important to keep a journal for that. And then just praying and you know, praying to your guides, the deities, angels, the fairies, you know, things like that. You know, there's different things you can do with just your body, your mind, your intuition, your heart. You don't necessarily need to have all these divination tools. If you want them, that's great. But they're not always necessary. So if you're watching this video, which I do hope you get to watch this video because I love demonstrating all the different divination tools. And I hope that this was informative for you as well as fun, because I had a lot of fun demonstrating these tools. I thought this was great. So if you're watching the video, drop a comment and let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite form of divination is, what you've used, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, your favorite form of divination that you use or maybe that you want to get into. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. You can either drop me a comment below on the YouTube, or you can send me an email at dawnswitchmagic@gmail.com. Review, rate the podcast, send me the love, share, send me to all your friends, get the word out about this podcast because I really love doing this for you guys, and I hope you're enjoying it as well. All right. And I'm also on TikTok, Instagram, X, which I'm not on X as much, but I am there. So you can get me all these places, the Facebook page especially, and don't forget to visit the website. All right, everyone, until next time, be magical. Thank you for tuning in to Witch Magic. If you like this show, please head over to Apple or Spotify and give me a 5-star rating and a review. It will really help with the algorithm of the show and to help people find it. Thank you.